Good morning and welcome to a live training session from Munich Sebener Street. You're watching Andreas Kornmeier on your far right, one of the fitness coaches, with some of the Bayern stars conducting a bit of a physical sprint exercise, mobility exercise here. We're a little early, but in these national team weeks, it's hard to predict when Bayern Munich will actually start with their training session. As you can see, not everyone out on the pitch yet. You're looking at Franck Ribéry on the left, Rafinha, Dante, Mitchell Weiser and Sebastian Rode. Again with the fitness coach. And I assume they're just conducting this as a little individual exercise. Later on we'll see some more Bayern stars, Philipp Lahm, Xabi Alonso for instance, joining in. But a lot of players use these qualifier weeks with a little less training than usual to work on their fitness, to improve certain aspects of their physique. And for a player like Franck Ribéry, for instance, it's of course a welcome opportunity to catch up physically after his long injury break. We're hoping to see Philipp Lahm, Xabi Alonso and of course also Bastian Schweinsteiger later on today on the pitch. He's been able to participate in the last couple of team training sessions. Maybe some of the harder exercises like the ones that we're obviously about to see a little too early as a part of Bastian Schweinsteiger's recovery program. A lot of injured players at Bayern Munich. Of course, a lot of players missing, traveling with their national teams for test matches and European Championship qualifiers. That's why in the last couple of days we've seen very small numbers of players on the pitch. Training sessions with up to 9-10 players only. Usually Pep Guardiola likes to invite 8-9 youth players, but that wasn't possible in the last couple of days. That's why we're seeing a lot of these individual exercises, fitness exercises. And new third or fourth goalkeeper Heinz Müller, who is an intern officially, commented on Bayern Munich's team and the attitude the players show in training, saying none of what people call the luck of Bayern Munich is in fact really luck. When you come to Bayern Munich's training facilities an hour before training, the gym is already packed with players already conducting their individual preparation program or strengthening their muscles. He says the attitude here of these players is nothing short of amazing. So let's check out and see what Andreas Kornmeier has in store for the players now. I'm sure most of you will have seen this exercise before. Still, the players are in for a little bit of muscle pain here. Seems as if Sebastian Rode will start.
Ja, also ich schon. Nicole?
Hey, Lou!
Bin noch nicht drauf, oder was? Basti. Basti ist rausgekommen.
Und ich habe gesagt, ich will eins auf Fußballer. Die sollen nein.
Der kommt sicherlich gleich nach hinten, Nicole.
Die sollen auch wissen, was über die
Aha.
Sag mir Bescheid, wenn du drauf bist, dann mal schwenke ich um.
Aber war doch ein Top-Spieler bei.
Genau, das haben wir gesagt.
Ja.
Das haben Sie nicht ganz verstanden
Ja.
am Anfang. Wer ist genau
So here is Bastian Schweinsteiger with fitness coach Dr. Holger Broich. Good news that Schweinsteiger can conduct all of these training sessions this week. Who knows when he'll be able to return to the pitch, but only a few weeks ago there was plenty of speculation if Bastian Schweinsteiger could return in 2014 or if we would have to be patient and wait until the end of the winter break. Seems that we're in for some promising news here, although you have to be very careful. So as you can see, quite a few youth players on the pitch here today.
Also der bleibt erstmal hier
Scholl,
vorne.
Michael Eberwein and some others. So we'll have a slightly larger training squad today. Pep Guardiola is also on the pitch already, but this is a very unusual start to a training session for Bayern Munich with 5 players already training individually, already conducting some sprint and some physical exercises while others come out and start kicking the ball about a little bit. Usually during
Ja, ich stehe halt direkt daneben.
competitive weeks without weekend breaks. This is all a little more structured. The players usually tend to come out together onto the pitch. Then Pep welcomes them as a group, and then the entire group starts training together. That's probably what we're going to
Ich
see
gehe jetzt mal auf die andere.
now. I assume here's Andreas Kornmeier already, and here, as you can see, Mitchell Weiser, Dante, and the others have returned. So a little bit of warming up here before we, I expect, play the traditional 5 against 2. Still no Philipp Lahm and Xabi Alonso, but I assume they'll be out any minute now.
Okay, mach ich gleich. Ich stell jetzt um, ja? Ja, das ist jetzt wurscht. Da müsst ihr jetzt durchlaufen. Macht doch nichts. Ja, jetzt geht halt durch. Zum Pep, oder? Steht auf der Mitte vom Platz. Würde ich jetzt mal vorschlagen. Okay. Ich bleib dann hier stehen. Nicole geht ja in die Ecke. Willst du sagen? Oder? Basti. Ich bin ja jetzt hier. Ne? Und ich würde dann hier stehen bleiben. Ja, okay. Warte, ich stelle jetzt noch vorher um auf Front, okay? So, was sieht's? Jetzt umgebracht. Jetzt das und wieder um.
So in the center of your picture you have the man that some of you might not be familiar with, Heinz Müller. This is the player who towers even over Dante. The very experienced Bundesliga goalkeeper who joined Bayern Munich officially as an intern after the injuries of Pepe Reina and Tom Starke. He's commented on these exercises at the beginning of the training sessions, saying that he's been in a lot of clubs, but he's never experienced anything like the precision and speed of a Bayern training. He says, I feel dizzy when I have to go into the center of these groups because everything's played with such precision and so quickly. He's in a group with Ribéry, Schweinsteiger, Dante, quite a few of the Bayern stars. For every Bayern fan, I think these are the best pictures in a long time. Schweinsteiger fit, and ready, and enjoying himself on the pitch. He's one of these players who actually shows his defensive skills in these training sessions. He's quite amazing how he recovers possession in these scenes again and again. Earlier you saw, and here he is, Pep Guardiola welcoming his players. He has to do, of course, without a host of key players who are traveling with their teams for championship qualifiers and test matches. Arjen Robben, for instance, who already lost last night's test match with the Dutch national team against Mexico. Then, of course, the Germans are traveling. Manuel Neuer, Thomas Müller, Mario Götze and Jerome Boateng. They play Gibraltar in a qualifier tomorrow evening before they play a highly anticipated test match on Tuesday evening against the former world champions from Spain with Juan Bernat. Robert Lewandowski traveling for Poland. They have an away game in Georgia tomorrow night, and on the 18th, two Bayern players play against each other when Lewandowski's Polish team takes on Xherdan Shaqiri's Switzerland. Again, Arjen Robben had a friendly against Mexico last night, which the Dutch national team lost. More importantly, they have a qualifier in Amsterdam against Latvia on the 16th. Xherdan Shaqiri plays Lithuania with Switzerland, and they are in dire need of points in Group E after winning only one of their first 3 games. Emil Højbjerg and Denmark play Serbia in Belgrade, difficult away game on November 14th. And then Mehdi Benatia is expected to play for Morocco in 2 test matches, warm-up matches to the African Cup of Nations against Benin and Zimbabwe. A couple of youth players gone as well. 3 Bayern talents in action for the German under-19s. Gianluca Gaudino, Sinan Kurt, and the captain of the under-19s team, Marco Hingal. This is a group of youngsters that are joining in the training session here today. In the center, Michael Eberwein, who already trained the last couple of days, Luca Scholl. Several of these players are in the under-19s or in the reserves. Played a good first half of the season. And the man on the right, Hermann Galland, is the youth expert. I suppose you can still say that at Bayern Munich, although he's been an assistant to Pep Guardiola for 1.5 years now. He's certainly got an eye for talents.
Da ist er doch mit dem schwarzen Stirnband. Geradeaus. Jetzt geradeaus mit. Aber der Lauf ist noch dabei und ja. Was soll ich da eigentlich? Nein, das ist auch nicht. Ja. Stimmt, ja. Weil ich vorhin gedacht habe, den Lang war er den Torwart. Was macht der? Da habe ich auf ein paar Bäume gemacht. Der sieht nämlich genauso aus.
If you've ever played in a football club yourself, you will have conducted these exercises many times before, probably not at this speed and precision. It's the, I suppose, traditional warm-up form for every football player and an exercise the players love. A bit difficult to tell today because the coaches have decided to play on the far corner of the pitch, but everything above 20 contacts of the outside players is considered good and considered embarrassing for the players in the center. You can see at the top of your screen Heinz Müller, they're trying frantically and in vain to get one of these balls. And it's Dante who has to intercept. It's a great opportunity for players like Rode, Dante, Schweinsteiger, of course, to improve their fitness. The last 3 weeks saw 7 competitive games for Bayern Munich, and they were, of course, extremely successful. A 6-0 home victory against Werder Bremen. A week later, then a 0-0. Tough, but I think successful away point against one of the championship contenders, Mönchengladbach. Then a 2-1 victory against Bayern's biggest rival of the past decades, Borussia Dortmund, and finally a 4-0 away win in Frankfurt. Also 2 Champions League games, 2 victories of Pep Guardiola's team against AS Rome, including that already pretty historic 7-1 win in the Italian capital, and also a cup victory in Hamburg. Everything's going very smoothly indeed for Bayern Munich. They're in the cup competition over winter. That's always the biggest goal in that competition. Also, of course, a very important goal for Bayern Munich traditionally is to win their Champions League group. They've already done that, as table first team with the 2 matches left. Great achievement, even if of course it also conveys quite a bit about the strength or level of performance so far of their opposition in that group. Bayern Munich have qualified already after 4 games as group first in Champions League Group E, an unprecedented achievement in German football. And then in the Bundesliga, Bayern are ahead of the table at the top with a 4-point lead, I believe. But it'll be interesting to see which teams, if any, can keep up with Bayern Munich, considering that the teams that we in Germany that everyone expected would be the main competitors for Bayern Munich are far behind. Dortmund, I believe, 17 points. Leverkusen not quite as far, but also a good distance away from Bayern Munich. The current competitors are Hoffenheim, if anything, but also mainly Wolfsburg and Borussia Mönchengladbach. But no one really expected them to challenge Bayern Munich for the championship this season, so we'll see how that evolves. So far, mid-November, everything going according to plan. Pep Guardiola said himself he's very happy with how the team's evolved so far. The team's playing better than they did at the same point in time last season. And of course, all of this with several key players missing with serious injuries. Good news, of course, this week is the man who just played the ball, Bastian Schweinsteiger, finally back from injury. Hasn't played for Bayern Munich this season yet. His last competitive game was the World Cup final. But then we have Javi Martinez out with injury, Holger Badstuber, Pepe Reina, Thiago, Tom Starke, Claudio Pizarro, and now most recently David Alaba. Very important players, some of which have been out for quite a while. And even without them, Bayern has been a very successful first period of the season. Dante said himself he was in a bit of a slump after the World Cup, of course. A drain on the fitness and also a mental drain after the started out as a successful World Cup for Brazil and then ended in tears. He's back on track in defense. Bayern Munich have plenty of alternatives now. They reacted to the injury of Javi Martinez by buying Mehdi Benatia, who's slowly but surely, I think, convincing the last Bayern fan that it's a good idea to hire him. And in midfield in particular, Bayern Munich have had, of course, massive injury problems with Schweinsteiger out all season, with Javi Martinez, who's certainly an option in holding midfield as well, with Thiago, a key player, an important player for Pep Guardiola, who hasn't played since the last season. Now David Alaba, formerly left back for Bayern Munich, but he's evolved into a bit of an all-rounder and a very flexible player on any position. Pep Guardiola has given his players 3 days off after today's training session. Yeah, quiet weekend for the Bayern fans, and I'm sure a welcome break for the players, many of which will be here anyway to conduct individual training.
Ja, die weten van de eerste.
Good save there by Heinz Müller in goal. This is one of these typical exercises, although it really does only incorporate short and long passes. Pep Guardiola likes to incorporate exercises that challenge the players on all kinds of different levels: short passing, positional play. Schweinsteiger can reach this one. Headed goals, not necessarily the strength of Bastian Schweinsteiger. And Ribéry scores an easy goal there against Heinz Müller. Let's see which of the Bayern players excel in this exercise.
Look at me when touch the ball. When touch, look at me. Look me. Here. Yeah, now you see what happened here. Guys, good. You have the answer. You need touching game. Touch it out. Look, bravo, Frank, that's the moment. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, yeah. That is good. The ball comes here. The ball is at the gang again. Good. Look at me, Basti. Yeah, the guy na go is Aki. You are right. Andy. Bravo, good about Basti. Victim moment. Look at me, Frank. Look at me when touch the ball. Look at me, yes. You're laughing, look, yes. Super pass. Ja, bravo, bravo, Ding laufen, bravo, Sam. Nochmal weiter Deutsche laufen, nein, kein Laufen. Mit dem Ball in der Position. Laufen an den Ball.
Oh.
Bravo, Basti, das ist der Ritmo, wo sie spielen. Mit der Fähre spielen. Deutsche Ball, in der richtigen Moment ist Laufen. Okay.
Pep Guardiola encouraging his players here. So the point of this exercise, quite obviously, to play the pass and then run into the right place at the right moment to be at the receiving end of the final cross into the center. Positional play extremely important for Pep Guardiola. Schweinsteiger at the beginning of this week was one of the Bayern Munich world champions to receive the Silver Laurel Leaf for sporting achievements. It's the highest honor an athlete can receive in Germany, and of course Federal President Joachim Gauck gave the Bayern players this award for their achievements at the World Championship in Brazil. Angela Merkel was there, who is an outspoken fan of the German national team. This man has now achieved pretty much everything there is to achieve, and still the fire is burning, the ambition. You can see that. You can see that particularly in the last couple of weeks, how hard he trained in the gym and individually on the pitch. There's a reason why these players are so successful, and it's interesting to hear an outside view of a newcomer like Heinz Müller, who said he's just fascinated by the attitude that he sees here. Here's Schweinsteiger trying to go for this ball, and nearly a spectacular goal. He was asked recently what his best ever goal was. It was a back heel score against Frankfurt the last season that secured Bayern's earliest championship, or second to last season it was. Not usually the man for spectacular goals, but he does score the important ones occasionally. That's only one of many reasons why he's dearly missed. Next cross in the center, this time for Dante, who misses it. He's certainly not responsible for scoring goals at Bayern Munich. I'm tempted to say, fortunately.
Good control, Luke. Good. Go pass. Good. Good pass, good control, good flanker. Den Anfang gut, Ende gut. Hier.
Another example just now. I hope you saw that, of why there are players at Bayern Munich who score more goals with their head than Bastian Schweinsteiger. Manages to find the goalkeeper perfectly for the second or third time there.
Okay, is außerhalb dabei. Der Ball ist mit Dante, der Gegner kommt mit Dante. Das ist auch nicht klar. Wenn der Ball ist mit dem Gang, mit dem Ball ist mit Dante, der Gegner ist da. Okay? Also, hier, Come on, Rafa. Rafa in Tiefe. Gut. Ja, hier. Gut. Hier. Ja, Junge, ich muss her, hier ist Kontakt ein. Bravo, Frank. Look, super.
Nice save again there by Hans Müller against Franck Ribéry. This is one of the more typical exercises. Short passing, direct passing, get that ball in front of goal quickly. No surprises that we see goals like this, at least occasionally, in Bayern Munich's game.
Good. Perfect.
Again, this is Heinz Müller, who joined only recently as a bit of a fallback plan. Guardiola said the situation is just far more comfortable and reassuring now at Bayern Munich, knowing that Heinz Müller is there to help if need be. He said it's possible that Heinz Müller might get a contract until the end of the year. It depends on the recovery of Peperina and Tom Starke, and also what happens with Leopold Zingerle, who's currently backing up Manuel Neuer. Biggest worry at Munich, of course, is that something might happen to Manuel Neuer. And of course, you might remember last season, that is what happened. Manuel Neuer and Tom Starke sustained injury, and for a couple of games, at least Lucas Rieder, this is Leopold Zingerle, by the way, for a couple of games, Lucas Rieder had to play for Bayern Munich. It's not that he didn't do a good job, but Bayern Munich just wanted to have a number one goalkeeper, a reliable, experienced man between the posts for those situations. That's why Bayern Munich hired Peperina as a backup for Manuel Neuer, despite the fact that, of course, Tom Starke is still in Munich, and now both are injured. It is an unusual The situation that Bayern Munich are in there, having 2 injured goalkeepers, and as Pep Guardiola put it, a risky one indeed. With all respect for Leopold Zimmerle, you don't necessarily want to be forced to enter important Champions League games or league games with a reserve team player. The same goes for midfield, for attack, for defense, and for the goalkeepers, of course. But this young man is certainly going to benefit from the experience that he's gathering here, and who knows, maybe in a year or two there will be no need to hire other goalkeepers. Rena, for instance, has been out for 5 weeks now due to a calf injury. You might have seen that in one of the highlight reels of a test game Bayern Munich had against the so-called Paulaner Dream 11, a friendly game or a game for a sponsor, and that was the very first game in which Peperina played for Bayern Munich. And not only that, in his first scene he sustained this calf injury, had to be taken off immediately after only a few minutes. Opportunity for Tom Starke to move into that number 2 position again, but then he sustained injury shortly afterwards. His injury was a torn ligament in his left ankle. He's been out for 3 weeks now. It's unsure when Tom Starke can return, but he's training a couple hours every day, as is of course Peperina. He's already a little further down the line. Strength and stamina drills plus mobility and stability exercises are the program for Peperina at the moment. And with the other injured players, unfortunately the Bayern fans will have to be patient too. Javi Martinez, who tore a cruciate ligament in the middle of August, isn't expected to return before January 2015. Same to a certain extent goes to Holger Badstuber, but of course there's only a month or so left, 5 weeks until the winter break in Germany. And Pep Guardiola and his assistants and the doctors and fitness coaches are all hoping that when Bayern Munich start their training camp, their winter training camp, which will be traditionally somewhere around between the, let's just say, 6th and 10th of January, that then most players will at least be able to join the team, that it makes sense for them to come to wherever the training camp will take place. Players like Javi Martinez, Holger Badstuber, I remember, was already battling injury. He flew to Qatar with Bayern Munich last season, or in the last winter training camp, and certainly benefited from that. He conducted his individual training exercises at the time, but still really enjoyed simply to be back together with the team again. It's very important for the motivation of the players. So let's see if Holger Badstuber, Javi Martinez can join there. Thiago is another one of these players who's been out for a long time now. Claudio Pizarro just started rehab training on Tuesday, but we expect he will be able to return in a couple of weeks. And David Alaba, it's probably a similar situation. He needs to stay in a plaster for 2 weeks or so now before he can start a rehab program. So that obviously means that it'll be tougher to him to play any more games in 2014. But the squad's strong enough, and it's proven so many times now that it's strong enough and large enough to compensate for these injuries. Even if David Alaba was an important player during that time. That last stretch, if Bayern Munich can survive that. I say survive that, but of course, so far they've been so successful that we're hoping Bayern's team can continue in that fashion. Then we might be in for some treats in the second half of the season, in the knockout games in the Champions League. That's when it really counts, when you need to be at your strongest. Bayern with, I think it's safe to say, quite a lucky draw in the DFB Cup. They are playing Eintracht Braunschweig, a home game there at the beginning of March. They're, of course, the clear favourites to win. And then it'll be an interesting job for Pep Guardiola to choose who plays. When you have Alonso, Lahm, Alaba, Thiago, Schweinsteiger, Martinez, I could go on as alternatives in midfield. Rode is another one. It'll be tough for some players. Guardiola recently commented on Sebastian Rode, saying, "It might sound strange because I don't field him that often, but he's one of my favorite players in the team. He's so eager to learn. He's got great talents, physically strong. Showed some good performances for Bayern Munich in his first couple of months here. Integrated really well. He's someone who works hard in every training session, in every game. And again, a good listener, someone who wants to learn, who can learn. A very promising young player, according to Pep Guardiola, and I think he knows best. I think we're about to see what most fans who came to Munich Siebener Street today were hoping to see: a training game. It's always most fun for the fans, and I dare say for the players as well. Just for your information, in case you're not familiar with these training sessions, you might be wondering what on earth Franck Ribéry will be doing in this game. He's the man with the green shirt, and that means that he is basically on the team in possession. Whenever a team is in possession, Franck Ribéry plays for them. He's going to stay in midfield and help along there. So let's just see which of these teams does better. The team in blue has Dante at the back, but an awful lot of youth players in the team, so I wouldn't put my money on them. We'll see. Schweinsteiger, Rode, and again here you can see now Ribéry playing for the red team. That's what's going to happen here in these next few weeks, so enjoy this training game. Let's hope that we'll see plenty of spectacular goals.
Go, go, look! Go, look! Bravo! Wieder! Hey! Hey! Oh! Zeit! Die Zeit! Lukas! Luke, spiel! Leo! Bravo! Leo! Da vorne, Leo! Hier, Geh! Schieb drauf!
Wieso da so? Warum? Schmeckt mir nicht. Was? Papa. Papa.
Oh, der war zu steil. Nein, nein.
Gut gemacht. Gut, einstellen, gut. Gut, zurück. Im Rücken mit, im Rücken. Gut, Junge. Komm. Los, du bist alleine, drehen, geh, in den Anschluss. Schnell. Okay, Julian, ist okay. Zeit. Rechts an, rechts. Zeit. Zeit. Weiter. Weiter, Evan. Pass auf. Bravo, Weg. Bravo, Zeit. Gut bisschen. Bravo, Weg. Bleib keine Risiko. Zeit, langer! Go, Evan! Dann! Bravo, Wasti! Voll, Lukas! Du bleibst hinter ihm! Dreh Mann! Ja! Zeit! Links! Gut gemacht, Frankie! Gut gemacht! Steht da, Mensch, komm rein, in die Mitte! Ja! Los! Geh, nicht da! Bravo! Gut rein! Schnell! Nach vorne! Komm, Lu! Pass auf! Sehr gut! Nein! Da war langsam!
Pretty spectacular save there just now by Heinz Müller. You'll have noticed it's not simply a training game here, not a usual Sunday afternoon kick in the park game. There's a couple of differences. One, for instance, is the position of Franck Ribéry, which keeps both teams on their feet. And also, you'll notice that when a goal is scored, or in fact, when any attack stops, let's see if that happens now. Ball's still in bounds. The team that's in possession starts very quickly and immediately. The goalkeepers throw the ball forward. This is to a certain extent about transitional play. That's why Ribéry, who scores his first goal now, is a free agent who plays for both sides. It's about switching from defense to offense as quickly as possible. Let's see if we can get a good example of that here. Good block there, and I think there's another interruption, but maybe notice in future when a goal is scored that the conceding team doesn't wait, doesn't analyze the mistakes that were made, but immediately gets the ball forward as quickly as possible. This is all about switching back and forth as quickly as a team possibly can to practice this transitional play, to get this attitude into the hammer this attitude into the heads of the players. You can't practice that often enough. that as soon as you lose the ball, a whole new setup starts, a whole new set of goals has to be goal. So here is Rode misses the goal, immediately Zingele throws it out quickly, forcing the team in red to reset the attitude here. Schweinsteiger shot against the head, and again the ball's out on the far right of your screen, somewhere in the middle, and immediately Heinz Müller storms in his goal to take the next ball out and initiate the next attacking move. So this again here now. There you go. That would have been a corner. The shot was deflected past the target. That's why Leopold Zingele on your right, the reserve goalkeeper, starts the next attacking move for blue. And now again, red in possession. Heinz Müller tries to get that ball out as quickly as possible, forcing the blue team that's in attack to quickly regroup. And again, Zingele, there's no hesitation. So fun to watch for the fans, fun to play for the players on the one hand, on the other. Also a good practice to exercise this transitional play. Nice little solo run there by Lukas Scholl, son of Mehmet. Practice the transitional play. That's why you have the free agent Ribéry, and also no kickoff or anything like that, but simply the goalkeepers working to get that ball forward quickly. And Ribéry nearly missed his cue there, so you get found out pretty quickly in these exercises when you don't pay attention. That's the whole point.
Die letzte. Nochmal eins. Letztes Spiel, 2-2. Die Mannschaft von der Mannschaft. Die verlieren den Tor in der Position, der Jungs, 2-2. Muss Frank helfen.
If I understood Pep Guardiola correctly, this is the last of these training matches. It's 2-2, I think is the score. Maybe you kept count. Schweinsteiger against Dante. We'll see if there's a little bet going, if the losing team has to do anything in particular. I'm sure they'll have to at least carry the goals back to their positions. Sometimes there are other little punishments that the teammates or the coaches come up with. So you can see again, this is another example. On the far right, the ball goes out of bounds, possession for the red team, Heinz Müller. And again, here it is, immediately grabs the ball and starts the next attacking move. And now this ball goes past, possession blue, and Zingele starts it.
Bravo, Luke. Bravo, Luke. Bleib da, bleib da, bleib da. Okay, gut. Langer, komm, Langer, komm. Platter. Bravo, hier. Aber wieso? Ihr seid zu spät, Treffer. Ihr seid zu spät. Nein, dreh dich. Bravo, Adi. Bravo, Adi. Zeig ihn. Bravo, Adi. Treffer. Zwei. Mach du. Raus. Scheiße, bravo, Dan. Bravo. Komm rein. Nächste Tor entscheidet. Weit ihn durch. Komm, Langer. Hier. Hopp. Oh. Bravo. Nicht du. Hoch, hoch, Luke. So, hier, Tor. Hier. Ja, links, das ist links. So, links. Volle drauf, komm. Rechte Seite, rechts, Schulter, ja. Go, Luke. Wir rennen ihn, go, wir rennen ihn. Bravo, Luke. Raus, komm mal raus. Bravo, nach vorne. Mach die. Geh hier bei, komm. Luca, die Trainer sagen, spiel nach hinten. Du bist allein. Ja, langer. Zeit. Aki links. Warte rechts. Schnell, warte. Vor, Lu. Ja. Ja, vorne. So was. Dreh dich. No, ich bin nicht. Zeit. Komm, Lu. Hallo, Lu. Zurück, Lu. Bravo, Leute, ey, komm. Komm rein. Ey, langer Vorstellen. Blau. Lu. Komm, Leute, nicht zu Ende, kommt. Ja. Yes. Perfekt. Luca, die Treffer. Geh. Du bist allein, da gegen uns Punkte spielen. Bitte dieses Tor und dieses Tor. Das Tor auch, Dominik, das ist schön.
Bastian Schweinsteiger scored the last goal of this training exercise, and I think he's now telling the blue team what to do as a punishment for this defeat. A slight break here. We are probably coming slowly but surely towards the end of this training session. Let's see if there are going to be any more exercises after this. But the players, most of them have been out now for nearly an hour 15, and that's usually about as long as these training sessions last when there's only such a small amount of players in training. We'll see if Pep Guardiola has something else up his sleeve though. Obviously, he takes every single training session extremely seriously, uses the opportunity of these qualification breaks to talk specifically to the youth players, or if need be to the players like Fonke. But you can see in the background here the blue team has to carry the goals back home. I think Ribéry's had enough for the day. The training session is over. This doesn't mean, don't worry, he's discontinuing. See, it's slowly coming to an end. The blue team has to carry the goals back where they were. It seems as if that's the only punishment that they are facing now after this crushing defeat in a test game. We'll probably see a few more players kick the ball around. Also, some players will certainly go over to the fans, sign a couple of autographs, jerseys and what have you. But this training session is certainly coming to an end now, so we hope you enjoyed this. Gives you a bit of an idea of what happens in these qualification breaks, gives you a bit of an idea of how Pep Guardiola conducts these training sessions, although they are a little unusual and quite different from the training sessions that we see when the entire squad is at the Spanish coach's disposal. We'll be back next week. We'll try to get another training session in for you there, if possible, with some or several of the internationals who will have returned by then. Maybe we can give you a bit of an idea then of what a more usual and more normal training session at Munich Siebener Street. Looks like, stay tuned for a couple more minutes, we'll see if some of the players show us some of their tricks, or if they decide to do some more free kick training, something like that. If not, we hope you enjoyed this training session. Stay tuned and also follow the announcements on the website and our social media for more training sessions, more live training sessions coming up.
Der Kaffee gut, ich habe 50 angefangen, aber